What's up guys, welcome back, and in this video I'd like to work on categories and pagination. So as you can see here, I've added a whole bunch of new product images for each of the categories here on the left, and I've also updated the products table seeder for each of the categories. For laptops I have 30 because I want to test out pagination later on, and I've also reseeded the database. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing we want to do is make a new model for the category. So PHP artisan make model category, and we also want a migration. Okay, let's go to the migration, create category, and let's add two new fields here. One for the name of the category, so string name, and also one for the slug. Actually, let's make these unique. Alright, now let's make a categories seeder. So PHP artisan make seed categories table seeder. Okay, categories table seeder. And I'm just going to paste a code snippet in here, and all this is doing is filling out all the categories we have on the left side. So we just have the name and we have the corresponding slug. Let's just make sure we import these, carbon and category. Okay, save that, and let's make sure to add it to our database seeder. So right here, just duplicate this and categories seeder. Now make sure you put the categories first, because when we associate products and categories, I'm actually going to do that in the products table seeder in a second. So let's just make sure that worked. Let's do a PHP artisan migrate refresh, and then PHP artisan db seed, and that should have done it. Let's take a look at our database to make sure, and to check our categories. There they are, so we know it worked. Okay, so originally I was just going to make it so that one product can only have one category associated with it, but one of you guys made the suggestion to just make it multi-category, and I figured why not, it's more robust that way, so we'll just go ahead and do it that way. So if we're doing it that way, where multiple products can have multiple categories, we're going to need it's a many-to-many relationship in the database, so we're going to need a pivot table. So let's go ahead and create that. So PHP artisan make migration, let's call it create category product. That's the relationship between categories and products. Table, and then we'll do create equals the name of the table, which we'll name category product. Okay, let's go back to our code. Category product. Okay, and all we have to do in here is define the relationship between categories and products. So I'm going to define the product first, and I'm just going to paste this code snippet, and all this is doing is making a field for product ID, and it's referencing the products database, products table I mean. And I'm going to paste another code snippet in here that's doing the same thing for category. Okay, so let's see if that worked. So we can migrate refresh again and seed. Let's just check our database. Check if, yep, there it is, category product, product ID, category ID. Awesome. So back to our code. Now we can define the relationships in our models. So let's go to category first. and we can do products. And then all we have to do is return this belongs to many app product. Okay. And we can do the same thing, save that in our product model. So we already have some stuff in here. Let's just put it up here. And it's going to be categories. App categories. Category. Okay. Now for our sample data, we have to make sure this relationship exists. We can go ahead and make a seeder for our pivot table like we've been doing. But let's just define the relationship in our products table seeder. So let me show you how to do that. So here, where it's creating a certain amount of products, we can just do categories. We just define that relationship in our model, and we can just attach the category there. And one is for laptops, and we can just do the same thing for all of them. So this one would be 2, and so forth. Okay, but since we're doing multiple categories, for instance, I want to have at least one product that has 2 categories. So let's go ahead and do that right here. So let's just do it for the first one. Let's just grab one and let's give it an additional category. And we'll attach a desktop. So this product with an ID of 1, which is a laptop, will also make it a desktop. And yeah, let's just refresh it again, reseed it, and now if you take a look at the database and refresh them, you'll see that the category, our pivot table has 85 rows, and if we did this correctly, there should only be 84 products. There we go. And if we look for the product ID 1, it should have 2 categories. And it does. Awesome. We'll take a look at this in the browser once we add everything in there, which will be our next step. If we go back to the browser, we want to start making things dynamic here. So the first thing I see is I'd like to make this list dynamic. Back in our code, let's just close most of this. We don't need most of this anymore. And let's open up our shop controller. And right here, we want to pass in the categories. So categories gets category all. And let's make sure we import that. And then let's just pass it in. Let's use an array now. And let's make sure to fix this. This has to be 2 colons. And now in our shop, in our view, right here, we just have to do a for each categories as category. Let's just grab one of these, and we'll leave the link for now, and this is a category name. And let's see if that works. Okay, we don't need all this stuff anymore. Cool. And for the link, I want to use a query string, so I want it to be /shop query string, the category slug. So let's go ahead and do that. So the route will still be shop.index, but we're going to pass in that query string, and that query string is the category, and we want that to be category slug. Okay, save. Let's see if that worked. Just keep your eye on the link when I hover over it. And yeah, that looks good to me. So let's think about what we want to do here. Looks like there's two cases. One case is if there's no query string, we just want to return the way it currently is. But if there is a query string, we want to make sure that we filter all the products based on the category of the query string that we're passing in. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so in our shop controller, let's make a conditional where this is checking the query string, so request category. So the case with no query string, we just want it to be the way it currently is, so let's just put that in there. But if there is a query string, we want to filter based on the category of the query string. So let's go ahead and do that. So we want to eager load the categories, and we want to do a where has on the categories, and that takes in a function, takes in a query, and we just have to check if the slug, so the query slug, the category slug matches whatever's coming in. So request category. And let's just grab this as well. We'll clean this up in a second. Sorry, that goes outside here. All right, let's check if this works. So, okay, when there's no query string, it still behaves the way it used to, but when we click on a category, it doesn't work. Why not? Because we have to do a get here. So we can get the collection back, see if that works now. And it does. So there's all the laptops, there's all the desktops, and as you can see, as we did earlier, we set the laptop to be both a laptop and a desktop. So we see that's working here. And yeah, it looks like it's working. Cool. All right, the next thing I want to look at is this heading over here. As you can see, it doesn't change. It's always laptops. So what I want to happen is if it's just shop with no category, I want it to show featured items. So I want the text to be featured. And if you click on a category, I want it to show that category. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's give it a category name variable. So in the case where there's no query string, we'll just name it featured. And let's just pass that in here. Category name, category name. And in the case where there is a query string, the category name will be, since we already have the categories, let's just query that. Where slug is request category, and it's going to return a collection. So let's grab the first one, and that's going to return a category, and we want the name of that. And that should work. Let's test it out. Request. should be the method request. And laptops. Oh, we have to change our view. So back to our view. Where's laptops? Right here. We want this to be category name. Let's test that out. Okay, so appliances, digital cameras. Why is it always showing appliances? Sorry, category name is the variable. Sorry about that. Let's check it out again. There we go. Tablets, appliances, digital cameras, TVs, and let's check it without the query string. Featured, awesome. All right, let's handle the case when there's no items returned. So let's go into our database and make a new category. Just make one called instruments. Instruments. Now. Okay. And if we refresh this page, it should show here. And that's fine. I just want to show a message here. Let's go ahead and do that. So right here, we can do an if and check if there's products, but the more efficient way to do that would be to use the for else directive. So for else. And it's the same thing as for each, but it handles the case where it's empty. So if it's empty, let's just put a div in here, and let's just say no items found. And we don't need this anymore. See if that works. Sorry, I forgot to change this. Products as product. That should do it. And that's centered because of our CSS. Let's just cheat here. New text, no, not class. Style. Text align left. There you go. Looks good. See if this still works. Cool. All right, the next thing I want to work on is this by price. We don't really need this here. This should be within each category, so you can sort by price within the category. I just put this here for aesthetics initially, so let's get rid of that. We don't need this. And let's just add a little section in here that allows you to sort by high to low or low to high. So desktops, let's find where that is. It's right up here. Okay. So what I'm going to do is just use Flexbox and make a new container. Let's call it products header. And we're just going to use Flexbox, like I said, and use justify content space between. So there's a new section here. Let's name it price. And we're going to have a link. One for low to high, and another one for high to low. And let's just go into our Sass. I think it's in my shop.sass. Products header. So let's just make a new one here. Products header. Display flex. Justify content. Space between. Okay. Just run npm run dev. And we'll see how that looks. There you go. All right, for our sorting, we want to add another query string to the already existing query string. So let's go ahead and do that. So right here, we want it to go to shop.index still, but we want the category to stay if it's there, but we have to get it from the request since we're not within a loop or anything. So let's go ahead and do that. But now we also want a new query string. We'll name it sort. And in this case, this one is low to high. So let's call it low underscore high. And then let's do the same for the other one. But it's called high to low. High to low. And the category is the same, but the sorting will be high to low. High underscore low. Let's see if that works. Okay. And let's work on the controller. So what do we want to have happen? So we just want to do something similar to if we checked the category, but this time we're checking the sort query string. And let's check if it's low to high. And the other case would be high to low. High, low. And we just want to modify the products variable. So in this case, what's happening here? We want to sort it. So there's a method on the collections called sort by, and by default it sorts ascending. So let's just pass in what we want to sort. In this case, it's the price, and that should do it. Same thing for here, but there's another method called sort by descending, and with any luck that should work, hopefully. Okay, so we're under desktops and we want to sort it from low to high. Did that work? I think that worked, high to low. Yep, seems like it's working. So low to high, 17. Yeah, it looks like it's going from low to high, high to low. Yeah, that seemed to have worked. Let's check the other ones. 17, okay, this one is no sorting. 15, yeah, so that worked, cool. Now let's take a look at pagination. For laptops, I purposely made a bit more so we can take a look at pagination here. I believe just 30. Basic pagination is really easy in Laravel, but there's a few things we have to worry about in our case, which I will show you. Let's go into our code, and to do the very basic pagination, all we have to do is change our get to paginate. So I'm just going to do it for the case where there's no query string at first. And it takes a number and how much you want to paginate, how many products you want to appear. Let's do 9. And all we have to do in our view is add this products links, and that's a method, sorry, and that should do it. So there you go. There you see the pagination. I'm going to go ahead and just steal some CSS from another theme I have in another project. I'm just going to put it in here. Where is my CSS? Resources, assets, SAS, components. Let's make a new one called pagination. And that is the pagination CSS, which I literally just stole from another theme. And let's make sure we add this in here. Components, pagination, npm run dev. Okay, let's check that out. Seems like I put it in a CSS grid area. Let's take a look where I put it. Yeah, it should be outside here. Alright, that looks good to me. Let's just put some space there. I have a utility class called spacer. Yeah, that looks good to me. So I said I was working in the laptops category, but you see me working in the overall shop. And you can see that there's pagination here in the shop. So initially I took only 12, but if you're paginating, then this is going to overtake whatever's in here. You can remove it if you want, but I'm going to leave it there for now because I actually need it for the next thing, which is the sorting of the price no longer works. And I'll explain to you why. So pagination only works on the query builder. And as you recall here, this was a collection before. So just bear with me while we make some changes here. I'm going to make one more case where there's no sorting. So products gets products, and we'll just paginate that there. Here, this is going to change to the order by, which is a method on the query builder. It does the same thing as whatever the collection did. Same here, changes to order by. And let's add the pagination here as well. We'll clean this up in a second. And let's just see if that works. And let's see, low to high. So that doesn't seem to be working. I think that's because this is screwing it up. We don't need that. And the reason I kept this take 12 was because this is still an instance of query builder. If I did all, this would be an instance of in a collection, and we don't want that. So let's just see if this works now. And yeah, it looks like it's working now. So low to high, yeah, okay. So let's check if the category works. It doesn't, because we have to fix this too, to not use collections. So if we just remove this get, see if that works. Okay, it does. And there's no sorting here, so it's just random order. See what happens when we try to sort it. Okay, it looks like it works. Did you see what happened there? It took off our query string, and now we're back to just the shop page with no category. So that is because here we have to not use this and use something similar, but this version just appends the links if there is an already existing query string. So let's try that again. So laptops, low to high, and that looks like it works. And if you go to page 2, that should continue. Awesome. Seems to work. 3, 4, check high to low. Goes back to the first page as we expect. And yep, it's high to low. So yeah, it looks like it works. Cool. Let's do some minor cleanup in our code. There's some repetitive stuff here that I'd like to clean up. So let's make a variable. Let's call it 9 and replace all these 9s here. Pagination. And also this seems to be repeating. So let's just do categories, category all. I should have just copied and pasted that. Cool, that still work. Sorry. Okay, still works. Also, I just want to take a look at the case where a category doesn't exist. So laptops 2, for example, you get an error. That's just on this line here because it's null, it doesn't exist. let's just use the optional helper, which checks if it's null, and see what happens there. Okay, I'm good with that. Alright, the next thing I want to do is actually have a column in the products table that indicates if it's featured or not. So let's go ahead and do that. So normally I'd make a migration for this. PHP artisan make migration, and I'd call it add featured column. But since we're early in development, I'm just going to go to the products migration here. And I'm just going to add it in here just so our migration, there isn't too many migrations. And if it's still early in development, we can go ahead and do that. And we're just going to make a boolean here. We're going to call it featured. Make it boolean. And we'll give it a default of false. And we can go ahead and migrate refresh, db seed, and now we have a featured column. So now go into our app, we can filter this out with just featured items. Let's go ahead and do that. So that's easy enough. All we have to do is, now we can take off this take 12 thing, and we can just do where featured is true. Oops, true. See if that works. Yep, there's no items because we have to make that featured. While we're here, let's also make, remember the main page here? This is random as well, so let's make this grab from featured to, I believe it was called landing page controller. And yeah, it's right here. Yep, let's do the same thing. Where featured is true. See if this should be empty now. Okay, cool. Now let's go into our database and just add some featured products. So let's just randomly make a few of them featured. Okay, cool. Actually, I want to keep this at 8. So let's do take 8. See if it only takes 8. And it does. I also want it in random order. Okay. And in here, yeah, this seems to only show the featured images now. Awesome. Alright, I think the last thing I want to do is just have an active state here on this menu for whatever category we click. And let's go ahead and do that. So in our blade here, so right here, I want the active state to go on the list item. So what's gonna happen here? So all we have to do is check if the request, the query string, what's it called, category, if it's the category slug, then that means we can append, using a ternary here, we can add the active state, active class, and if not, then return nothing. And let me just go to my CSS shop.sass, and let me just put the active state in here. Let's run npm run dev, and let's see if that worked. Let's refresh that, and it worked. Awesome. It's probably a good idea to put this somewhere in our helpers file So if we just replace this with a method, we'll call it set active category, and we'll pass it in the category slug. And let's go to our helpers. And let's make a new method. Actually, it can be public. Set active category. And this is going to be, it's going to take in the category. And the output is going to output this class name, which we can overwrite. So all we do is return the request. Just check if the category is the one we passed in. If it is, return the output. If it's not, return nothing. Okay, see if that works. And it still works. Awesome. So there you have it, guys. We've managed to set up everything so a product can have multiple categories. We've also worked on sorting and pagination, and we are progressing nicely in our application here. Like, comment, and be sure to subscribe if you haven't already done so. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you guys in the next one. Okay, thanks. Bye.